My jaw dropped.
I think that was the moment I looked at Ivan and I said, bruh. That's where I'm like, this is the better version of the monkey. This is what the monkey should have been.
We have such sights to show you.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Four Dead Losers podcast. We are three of the Four Dead Losers. I'm Amito.
Adam.
Jordan.
And we have Justin. He's out sick today. So we'll go ahead and, hope for a speedy recovery. We weren't able to get to Clown in a Cornfield. There was some just scheduling issues on our end, and we weren't able to get to the to go out to see it. So today we're actually going to be talking about Final Destination Bloodlines. Ooh, spooky. Adam, not spoiler thoughts. What did you think of the movie?
Best in the series, and I will stand by that. It did the thing better than probably the original, and I think that it did it in a way that was fresh and was very enjoyable from a new audience member perspective, as well as like somebody that grew up with the first original one. So
yeah,
I thought it was pretty good.
Cool. Rating out of 10?
Ooh man, I would say probably 8.5 out of 10. I think, like I said, it was the best in the series. Obviously there's some things that you can critique because it's a Final Destination movie, but this is coming from somebody that has notoriously probably hated on this franchise, especially because the middle ones were just so bad. Yeah. There was no defending the middle ones. I don't care how much you enjoy the franchise. There was some awful movies, but this one actually was a reboot well done.
Yeah. So. Jordan, not spoiler thoughts. What did you think of the movie?
I do agree that it's probably the best in the franchise. It's been a while since I've seen the original, but I do agree with that sentiment, which we'll get back to later. But overall, I think it was pretty over the top. I think it was fun. It was interesting. I remember when I first saw the very first trailer, I thought it was gonna be crap. So I was happily surprised. We talked a little bit about this before we started filming, but rewatching this with the family dynamic made me realize that the monkey's just a Final Destination movie, basically.
Yeah, basically.
Just with a toy instead of
whatever. Yeah.
Personally, this is the one that's gonna be that I don't think y'all are gonna agree with, but I know Justin would have. To me, this movie was pretty much equal with the monkey in terms of how much I enjoyed it and the quality for me.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna give it the same rating, which was an 8.5 also.
8.5 out of 10. Wow, pretty good. Non-spoiler thoughts for myself. I think I'm there with Adam. I wouldn't call myself a hater of the franchise, but it's one of those where it's just kind of cool. You really watch it to see the kills, right? And we'll get into more of that in the spoiler section of the video. But I think other than that, this was I was fairly entertained with the movie. A lot, it was better than I thought it would be going in. At first, I was just kind of let's just check it out, kind of see what's going on. But with that being said, I think for myself, I'd probably give it a 7.5 out of 10. It was pretty enjoyable from start to finish, actually. But yeah, so with that, we're going to go ahead and get to the spoiler section of the video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, do all the algorithm stuff. It'll really help us out. We'd really appreciate it. But until then, this is going to be your spoiler warning in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bam. Cue Justin saying, everybody dies. So this movie follows the same formula as all the other movies. We get what do they call it? The premonition at the beginning, and then people start dying. They try to figure out how to stop death from getting to them, and it doesn't work out. But the twist with this one is that the premonition at the very beginning is at a restaurant in the late 60s, I think.
I believe so.
And it's like a tower, and there's the restaurant's at the top, basically this bulb sitting above everybody else. We get introduced to two characters here. One of them's name is Iris, and what will soon to be, or will later on be her husband. I don't remember his name, but it doesn't really matter.
Paul. I don't know.
I think it was Paul.
Oh, I think you're right. I think it is Paul. And so, fucking monkey, so they arrive at this restaurant, super fancy. You can see everybody's wearing black suits, right, and really fancy dresses and stuff like that. She's all excited. they get into the restaurant, and while they're going up, there's like, we get all of the cues that something's not right, right? So the first one is we see she's looking down. So there's an elevator shaft that takes you up. I think they mentioned it's like 500 feet in the air or something like that. And the elevator that they're standing on is made out of glass. She keeps looking down.
Or the elevator wouldn't even like close when they got in. They're like,
the guy had to pull it shut. They zoom in on the sign that says capacity 8 people, and they fit like 16 in the little tiny thing. While they're going up, the elevator attendant drops the lore that the restaurant was built like 5 months ahead of schedule or something like that.
Are you sure?
Yeah, it's like, are you sure this is safe to be in? They get to the top of the restaurant. Turns out that the friend that Paul knew that basically got them the hookup for the table got fired like that morning. So all of the other stuff is just whatever. And so they don't want to leave because they want to eat, right? So they start hanging out. Okay, cool. And then I think this is where we start seeing like the different dominoes that get put in, right? I think the first one is that the dance floor is also on a glass floor, and there's a chandelier that gets hit with a champagne cork. Mm-hmm. And it knocks off one of the pieces of the chandelier, and it's really sharp, and it hits the glass floor, and there's a crack. We start to see a crack. And then Paul and Iris, they go to the very top because like it's an open roof or something like that. And so they go up there, and then we see this kid, and he has like a penny.
Oh, right? His kid was on the elevator too. His kid's a jerk. His kids, I mean, yeah, they already set this kid up as the villain.
They really did.
Bro, he called the security guard a fat ass.
So this kid, so when they arrived at the restaurant, he was taking pennies out of the fountain.
And the cop told him like, "Hey, don't do that. It's bad luck." And he's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry."
Yeah, after he has like a fucking dollar worth of pennies, right?
Oh, wet pennies.
Oh, I forgot. Yeah, he's literally stealing from the fountain.
He is. And so then he's on top of the roof with them, and he's throwing pennies off the roof, and the security guard stops him, and he's like, "Hey, that penny's gonna kill somebody." Well, so that's what's going on with that kid. Just like Adam said, he's set up as the villain. Iris and Paul are talking. Turns out Iris is pregnant, and then Paul proposes. And does she answer?
No. Okay, so yes, she answers. She's like, yes, so excited because he was worried that when she told him that she was pregnant, he kind of like he didn't respond right away.
Right.
And then he was like, no, like I'm happy. I'm the happiest guy in the world. And then he puts on the ring, and the ring is like really tight, which is gonna play into it later on. Also important to note, before she went up to the top of the tower, she did get a little sick because he had brought her drinks when they were still downstairs. And so she went to go throw up, and one of the singers was there, and obviously her son, which is playing with like a toy train, and she's like talking to him like, hey, you can't be back here, like you need to stay off stage, you need to be in here because can't get in trouble because of work. And she sees her and is like comforting her, and she's like, oh, are you okay? She's like, yeah, I'm fine. Like, well, how far along are you? Like, she could tell that like she was pregnant. So that's how we get our first indicator that she is, because at first we think it's she might be sick because of heights, because she's obviously not a big fan of heights either. Yeah. But yeah, then we get to
then they go to the dance floor to start dancing right, to celebrate. And then of course that crack that's on the floor starts getting bigger because what's the name of the song? I don't know.
Oh, Shout. Yeah.
They're playing Shout, and so they're singing, and everybody gets down low, and then when they start coming back up, then the fucking floor.
This was built up so good.
Yeah, it really
you can see like the bolts on the outside.
Well, yeah, and so without going into terrible detail, basically what ends up happening is this movie also revolves around the penny.
Yes.
So the kid, that was his final penny after the guard tells him like, don't do that. It catches wind, it flies into a ventilation shaft. The penny rolls like a mile in the ventilation shaft. It gets stuck in a fan, like a little turbine for the AC unit or whatever. And like to the point that like it's getting like all that like stagnant energy of like, okay, the fan's about to like give it its all to shoot it out. It ends up the fan kicks back on or finally gets it out, shoots it. I don't think scientifically as fast as it should go, but like shoots this penny across the room. It hits a pipe that
The
basically,
natural gas pipe.
natural gas piping breaks it to where it's leaking gas. And then I think we already talked about there was, like a bunch of other stuff, like open flames and a bunch of other
in
stuff.
the restaurant.
Yeah, there's a lot of indicators, if you've seen the Final Destination movie, of things that are like not gonna go well, right? Like so the chandelier, they were very big on like that hitting the glass. People talking about the tempered glass. Oh, it's tempered glass. It's the safest in the world. I was like, no.
Yeah.
The fire, like hibachi style, like blew up earlier. Whenever they were doing something else.
They have the flamethrower for the creme brulee.
Right, that's right, the flamethrower. And then I'm trying to think. I felt like there was one more, but anyway, the penny was the big one. But
I think the other one you're trying to think of is the one that Jordan's saying is the bolts on the
support beam starts to give out.
Flying out.
And so they end up. So the floor breaks. Freak out. People are trying to run off the dance floor, which we
see a bunch of people from the dance floor
just
fall.
And some of them hit the beam. There's and that is on essentially what knocks the beam out, which I thought was crazy. I didn't think one singular person can knock a support beam out, but it did.
I mean, if it's built 5 months ahead of schedule,
yeah, maybe. They had to, and then people were trying to like run. They end up like running into the guy with the flamethrower, natural gas.
They catch on fire.
The lady catches on fire. And my first thought was, she's just running around like and my first thought was like, I thought in the 60s that's when the stop drop roll thing was like really big. So like at no point did she stop, drop, or roll. She just ran on fire.
I think this is when a bunch of people cram into the elevator.
And this is actually. Well, they are cramming in the elevator, but it is important to note that Paul fell through the glass floor and was trying to hang on, and she tried to save him, and she couldn't save Paul. Paul was the last person to hit the beam. He hit the beam hard, like his head just.
He was holding on to a big shard.
Oh, he was holding on to the glass. Oh, yeah, that was right. I was like, oh no. But all the people go into the elevator. Of course, they like kicks the old man, the man that was a jerk to them earlier. That was like the maitre d', they didn't let them in. He was like, let me in. They're like, no, and then they all fall through the elevator.
They fall through the elevator. So then the elevator attendant is like, let's go to the stairs. And so while they're going down the stairs, the freaking like staircase just collapses.
Yeah.
And you see the little kid on the other end, right? He's like. And then he just takes off. And then
he's like, at that point, I was like, man, I would just jump for it. At that point, I would have just jumped to like get to the stairwell. Let me rephrase that. I would have jumped to the stairwell.
Because
that's like your only way out after that point. Like nobody. I mean, how did they even save you at that point? Like being trapped that high in the thing.
I was thinking that when we hit towards the end and it's just a few people left. I was like, what's the point? But like,
so I think at this point, does Iris see the sun from the singer? At this point?
So Iris is like literally she's freaking out because she's basically tried every way to get out, and they're all like shutting down. It's getting fiery, right? The flames are coming up, smoke's getting bad.
Yeah, because the lady runs into the natural gas area.
And then I think they even start slightly. Oh yeah, she finds a kid. She finds a kid. He's stuffed in the little cart. Like a trolley cart, like one you open up like a trunk almost.
And he sees his mom get burned.
Yeah, by the fire. They see the floor collapse, which leans more. I think she ends up like saving him, kind of, and catching him. Eventually, it collapses fully. They can't make it.
There's a piano from the stage that comes and
doesn't the penny fall on it?
Because the penny falls on the piano, and then that was the final weight to get it to fall onto the people below. So it crashes through, and then that's when Iris and the kid are like holding on to the edge of concrete. But then we zoom in; she's not holding on by her hand; it's the ring on her finger.
It's holding by the metal support beams that are in the
in the concrete.
Like in the concrete. So it's bad. It's actually that's probably one of the best I think effects they had in the movie.
Good.
Where it like literally because the ring was tight, it pulls the ring so it pulls up all the skin of the finger.
Her finger.
Yeah, deglows her finger.
Good.
And she falls basically with the kid.
Did we ever see the penny kid die in this?
Yes, he's the one that dies from the piano.
So we see the piano crash and it lands.
Yeah, and like it's too. He like does the. Oh, I made it! Like,
he's all the way at the bottom.
The piano just.
And it's brutal. Man. They show everything.
The piano like took him out.
It's really good. And then Iris dies, right, when she falls off, and that's the end of the premonition. And then so we get cut back to reality.
Okay, so after this, premonition, Iris falls, and she's the last person to hit the ground. Or actually, I guess the second to last person.
Second to last person.
Hits
You
the
never seen the
ground.
boy
'Cause-
yet?
No. Oh, I mean, probably.
Yeah, we
but-
do, but we don't actually see him. But I mean, she falls with him, so we can
Yeah,
only
and the way that the timeline works out later on, which we'll get into, he would have to die
Dead last.
Right.
I think she just gravity. She hit the ground a little bit faster.
Yeah.
Fast forward. So again, we get a startled wake up scream, like death scream. Girl waking up from a dream, and it ends up being our main protagonist, Stephanie. She's in the middle of a class, and everybody's like freaking out, like looking at her in a college class, like, what is wrong with this girl?
Yeah.
And even the teacher is like, what? And so I think he says something to the teacher, whatever. Class dismissed.
Yeah.
And then he says, whatever that subject is, well, I know it's scary, but it's not that scary. Some
I think
stupid
they're doing
joke.
like matrix multiplication.
Well, yeah,
Like
some
so.
stupid.
Yeah, that's pretty scary.
Some
It's
stupid.
not stupid. It's cool.
Yeah, some stupid. And and then he asked her to come back and like, hey, can I talk to you? And I don't even know if they actually like say anything. It
Yeah, I think at this point they don't really like say anything, but I think this is and we'll find out later that she gets put on academic probation.
Yeah.
So I think this is the pro for just letting her know that that's the case.
Yes. So we catch again the girl, like again she's having like freaking out about the dream. We see her, I think, even slipping in and out of it, like where it's reoccurring, like in quick short bursts, and then she wakes up again in her dorm room screaming, and of course that's when we realize that it's a reoccurring dream.
Yeah.
Her roommate is also like, yeah, we need to get this figured out because I'm gonna kill you in your sleep if you don't figure it out because you're waking me up.
Yeah.
So she decides to like go home because I think she has the realization, right, like talking to her college roommate, that the only person that she knows with the name Iris is her grandmother, but she doesn't know anything about her grandmother because nobody talks about her, nobody says anything
Yeah,
about
they cut her out of the family.
Yeah, they cut her out of the family. So, she ends up like basically trekking back home to.
Yeah, she goes home. This is where we get to introduce all the other characters.
Yes.
So she goes home, and we meet Dad and
Charlie,
which is her brother. Then we get introduced to. So Charlie wants to go over to Uncle's house, and then we
Uncle
get
Howard.
into Uncle Howard and his wife. And then we have the three cousins. So there's Eric, who's the oldest. There's
Bobby.
Val.
Oh, Val's the
Val's the second oldest, and then Bobby is the youngest from the cousins. And so basically what happens is Stephanie is talking to Howard, and she's like, hey, I want to know everything about Grandma Iris. And he's like, that name means nothing to me. That lady's crazy. She made your mom crazy. And I was like, bro, that's kind of crazy to say.
To set up to basically when she goes to her house originally, we notice that the mom is not in the picture.
Yes.
It's just Dad, and I think even when she brings up Grandma Iris to the dad, he's like, do not bring that up to Uncle Howard at all. Like
he's very much like that.
Yeah, he's like, he's not a big fan of her. Like, just don't. You're gonna upset him. Don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then she does it anyway.
She does it anyways. And it turns out, I think he's getting ready for like a barbecue or something like that. And so the whole family is just kind of getting together, right? And then, so Howard goes outside to start getting the grill ready and everything set up. And the aunt is talking with Stephanie, and she's like, please, like, you have to help me. I know this means something, XYZ. Like, I just need to know where to find Iris. And so then the aunt is like, whatever you do, don't look in this specific drawer and don't look for this specific book. And she's like, got it. So then she finds the address for Iris, goes to Iris's house. And I think this is where we start to get, like, references to the other movies, too. So there's, like... So I don't know how much time passes between her leaving the house and showing up at Iris's house, but it seems like the barbecue, like they didn't get anything set up.
No. He wasn't doing a barbecue. He's just doing yard work.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah, he's doing yard work. But she ends up, going. I know she lives not too far away because it's obviously somewhat of an easy driving distance. So
Iris owns like 50 acres.
Yeah,
So
50 acres. She
long
set
road.
up like what's her name for Halloween? Lori whatever.
Strode.
Lori Strode, where her entire fucking perimeter of her house is barricaded by this giant fence.
Not even it's like literally
It's
like an
stakes.
old
It's a bunch
Civil War like where
There's like
the
stuff
wooden
inside
the
the
wood.
fence.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But she ends up going by herself to Grandma Iris Iris is. It's like, it looks run down too.
Yeah.
Like it looks like the craziest place. And
It literally looks like it started off as a normal like cabin in the woods or whatever, but over time, like it's so run down, it looks like a medieval cottage.
cottage. Yeah.
It's like DIY.
Yeah. And so, but somehow it has a metal fence, metal gate, and it has like she pushes the button to call, and it has the camera. It's like, what do you want?
How does she eat? Can we talk about that?
I think she grows her own food.
grows her own food.
But like, oh yeah.
So she's like, oh no, I don't want any visitors. Go away. And then she's like, wait, but I'm your niece
daughter,
or
your
granddaughter. And then she's like, all right, leave your keys.
We
in
put
your
everything in the
Yeah.
box.
And then she's like, I'm not a threat. She's like, it's not you that I'm afraid of.
And then here we start to get introduced to other things too, right? That come into play later. Like there's a power line that we see. There's I don't know what they're called, but
Weather vane.
Yeah, the weather vane, and then there's a fire extinguisher right next to the
Which
door.
we see fall.
There's a pond. There's a pond.
We get a foreshadow. The
fire extinguisher does fall.
There's a pond.
There's a pond, right?
Just a call back to the first one.
There's a lot of stuff. And so...
And the wind chimes.
Yes, and the wind chimes. And so Iris lets Stephanie in, and she's like, wait, you have to stand right there. And she makes her stand for like 30 seconds right in the doorway. And then Stephanie starts to walk, and she's like, I didn't say to move yet.
Where she's like Doctor Strange going through all the scenarios.
But when Grandma stands up, she hits like this magnifying glass or whatever that gets rotated, and it starts to aim the sun at a rope that's holding a flower pot.
For the thinnest rope ever.
Yeah. And so they start conversing, basically like Grandma's like, how are you, whatever, like what's going on, all these things. And so Stephanie basically tells Grandma the dreams that she's been having, and then Iris is like, oh, I had that exact thing. And then
she like name drops the tower.
Yeah.
I have two. Well, I'll let you cover the whole premonition thing.
Oh, you're fine. All is good. So we get thrown back, and it turns out that Iris, when she had that premonition, she was successful where everybody else in all the other Final Destination movies failed. She was able to save everybody.
I think they even flash back to her how she saves everybody.
Yeah. She grabs the mic from the stage and says, "Everybody get off of."
She stops the penny.
Stops the penny. She tells them like, get off the dance floor. She tells, and then they do see it crack, right? And they all like freak out, but nobody dies from that. And then she ends up like, literally, she just saved all these people, and the cops still take her out like she's the wrong one. She covers the fire, does all that stuff, and then I think even as she's doing that, I think she even like, I don't know if they flash back to it or not, where she sees the kid and the mom or whatever.
I think
that might have been later, but yeah, basically she's just happy that she saved them, and I think she even did the nose to like the kid, like we saved y'all.
And then so after we get all of that lore, Grandma has the giant book, right? Her lore.
So I have a couple questions, or not questions, two statements real quick. I really liked how, one, I feel like this is odd, but maybe like odd as in out of the ordinary. I don't recall the original movies that well. Is this like the longest premonition we ever had?
Yes.
I think so.
Like to go, because I was kind of shocked when the movie started, and I really enjoyed it. Like this is kind of a pro, but I was kind of shocked by how long the original premonition was.
Mm-hmm.
And two, I think this was really well done in that when we like revisit it in this scene, I didn't realize how early on the premonition started. Like when we do the flashback to see where she fixed it, I didn't realize it was going to start all the way when she was at the top of the tower.
Yeah.
Like I thought that the premonition started like way later in the scene.
Well, I mean, they do have a couple songs, because I think they played Fireball. That was the first premonition. Part of the premonition was Fireball. Or no, Great Balls of Fire. Sorry, Great Balls of Fire.
They were playing Ring of Fire.
Ring of Fire. Oh, Ring of Fire. Sorry, Ring of Fire.
They were when they got there. Yeah.
Ring of Fire. That's right.
That's all. I just thought, just revisiting the premonition really good.
So Iris has the giant book of her lore, which is basically like everything you need to know to survive the movie.
And good to know, Stephanie refuses to like look at it. She doesn't even want, because what ends up happening is she freaks out because she's obviously being over like sharing and like, oh, this and that, and it's like,
and her grandma sounds fucking
like
crazy.
Charlie, Charlie Pepe Silva is like Pepe Silva. But it was important to note that because they had warned her that like this is the reason why we cut her off, because she will make you believe in this crazy stuff that she's telling you, and she like, I mean, the way that she lives, because she says like, no, you can't leave, like you're gonna stay here, and I'm gonna teach you everything, and you're gonna stay safe.
Yeah.
Important.
Sorry. One of the things that like to help solidify her argument before Stephanie's like, oh, I'm getting out of here, was that Grandma stops the rope from being burned. For that's holding the plant. Anyways.
Yes. Oh, important to note, I don't know if we touched on it earlier, but on the grandma being crazy, like Uncle Howard mentions that that's why Stephanie's mom isn't around.
Right.
Like we found out earlier on that Stephanie's mom left or whatever.
Yeah.
Also, have we flipped in this scene? Do we flip through the book or not yet?
No, I don't think so. No, she did like she refuses once she shows her and starts talking about it. She refuses to like acknowledge it.
Yeah, we don't. I don't think she starts flipping through the book until
after this next part.
Because I know we see Easter eggs in the book.
We do.
Yeah, but it's later.
That's okay.
So what ends up happening is she's like, no, I'm leaving. He's like, no, you can't leave. And Stephanie's like, no, I'm out. Deuces. So she leaves. And as soon as she starts leaving and she's like maybe a third of the way out of the door, you know, Grandma Iris comes to try to stop her. She gets to the doorway, and of course we get the Final Destination breeze. It's death, right? He always brings wind.
She like accidentally steps over a little bit. And goes back.
Yeah, like I think like her tippy toes are like right on the outside, and then we
the
get
wind.
like. So I really liked this. So throughout Final Destination, I think in the first two movies, it was just like stuff moving on its own, and death was almost like a paranormal presence, as opposed to later on in the series, where it's like just things going wrong that happen. Like I think like so one of the examples that I can think of is I can't remember if it's the first or the second movie, but in one of them, one of the people who we see die is in like a hospital room, and then the vents for the room just close on their own.
The second one.
It's the second one.
And the first one is the shadows that knows for Ratu.
Right. That's more like paranormal.
Right. And so like with this one, I feel like, or this area, I feel like it was much more like calling back to that with the wind blowing, and like she could tell that something wrong was afoot. But yeah, so she starts to, so Grandma's like, okay, if you don't believe me, I'm gonna make you believe me.
No, she says seeing is believing. And she like literally walks up to her, gets face to face, the fire extinguisher.
They're like 20 feet outside at this point.
Yeah, the fire extinguisher like just gets hit by the weather vane, and it shoots forward and just
her head
like
explodes.
the head explodes in front of her. And she's like,
ah!
Or there's like blood all over Stephanie.
Yeah, it's like,
it is.
Like Evil Dead style.
Yeah, for real.
Which kind of, I mean, okay, we know that we found out at this point that Iris is going to die of cancer anyway.
Yes.
But
yes, that was the other big thing. That
Iris kind of knew that, like, yeah, I've avoided him all this time, and now I'm dying this way.
So I guess
like,
in this was
cruel
important.
irony, yeah.
Because, like, in my mind, I'm thinking, well, by Iris sacrificing himself, she just sped up her whole family dying.
Yeah.
But had she just died of cancer, they would have never.
They would have never
died.
known. Yeah, they would have never known.
Mm-hmm. But it's kind of a double-edged sword, right? They would have never have known, and Stephanie would have just kept having the nightmares.
Yeah.
So then we cut to Iris's funeral. Everybody's sad. Okay, this is when we get introduced to Stephanie's mom, and she has like this RV that she basically lives in. And then everybody ends up at Howard's house for a barbecue, right? And so while everybody's there, I think Stephanie, I don't even think Stephanie's at the barbecue.
She's not. She's at the house.
She's at her dad's house, right?
She's the one.
She's starting to put together the pieces. She's looking through the book.
This is where we get the references, like the plane from the first movie. I think we see the wood truck from the second one.
Yeah.
Okay, so this confirms, to me, correct me if I'm wrong, my understanding is that this then confirms that, like, Iris's whole thing is the, like, prequel to the entire series. Like, all these people in every movie are connected through that.
It's a good way to think about it.
If she has the drawing of all that.
It could be, because there was, well, a lot of other accidents.
That's not, I don't think.
But I also think it could be her way of also just seeing, like, oh, hey, this is happening in other ways, because we also note that it is important to note with this movie, what separates it from the other ones is this is a long game one. So we start not figuring out, well, I think she does figure it out. No, she doesn't figure it out quite yet until the second funeral. Because in the first one, she's just catching, like, hey, there's all these different things that are happening. And that obviously there's all these terrible accidents that are all, like, crazy. Like, it's like, what the heck? Like, person dies in France getting hit by a brick. And
So I just remembered, this is the sixth movie?
Yeah.
Paranormal Activity 5.
Final Destination.
I just remembered Final Destination 5 is actually the prequel to Final Destination 1.
Yeah.
Right. So I guess my question is,
You're saying are the other movies because of this? I think no.
like, are they all on this one line?
No, I think no, because I think that with the other ones, there's too many other people that are involved. Whereas this one, everything that's happening to these people is always just those people that are taking it. You know what I'm saying? It's
like the other ones, their families.
The other ones, there's like a whole like different family.
So unless all these families became friends.
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
Right.
I think they're separate things. But this one, we'll get to that point. But she starts. I think I forgot what sets her off. I can't remember if she hears wind chimes or if something flips or like she starts. Oh, I think she sees something in the book that triggers her to like, hey, something's about to go wrong at the barbecue.
I think you're right.
I thought something falls in the house. Well, maybe not.
Oh, the picture. Yeah, the picture, I think, of them. The family falls.
So,
and the dad is cracked.
Yeah, the dad's cracked.
And so, you're right, because that's when, so while Stephanie's looking through the book, we, like, get cuts of the barbecue that's going on.
Yeah, it's happening.
And so it's basically the movie trailer, right, where, like, the glass breaks, and so they put it, or a piece gets put into the ice box, and then they distribute the drinks. They don't know who has the thing. We see we don't know who has the shard of ice, or the shard of ice in their drink. We see the trampoline.
It's a clear drink and ice.
Under it. Yeah. The rake is under the trampoline. We see the lawnmower that got kind of turned on. Like we see all of the pieces that are going to be put together at the end. I think basically what happens is the mom says, hey, there's a rake under the trampoline. Don't jump on that, Howard. And he's like, okay, cool. So then they pull the rake out. He jumps to do his famous backflip, but he goes through the trampoline where his foot would have caught the rake. He gets out and he's like, I'm thirsty. Okay, whatever.
And that I would say this barbecue scene was really good because the way that they set up the ice, I think, is the best thing that they've done in a Final Destination. Because usually it's like, okay, we see what's about to happen, whatever, or like, oh, we think it's this, and no, it's actually this. Yeah. But like, I like this one because it really created the tension of who has it, because you didn't know, right? And I like it could have been anybody, and everybody's like, oh,
they're focusing on so many different.
Yeah, they focus on each person, like, oh, it's gonna be them.
Even the uncle like starts coughing.
Yeah, and they set it up too, where there's a bunch of people where they're about to drink their drink, and then they don't.
And then like the dad pours it out.
Yeah, it's like, oh.
And then so Howard is walking to get his drink. He steps on the shard of glass.
At the same time, Stephanie's like rushing to the house.
Yes, Stephanie's rushing to the house. So Howard steps on the shard of glass. He falls. That activates, like, I think that pulls a water hose or something, which then turns on the lawnmower.
And then it hits the rake. The rake turns on the rake.
Yeah. It turns on the lawnmower. Lawnmower runs over. Howard.
Stephanie runs in. She's like, guys, there's somebody. And then
on his face, bro.
Yeah.
This gave me, it's just the way they cut it, and I'm not saying that the monkeys are first to do this. This gave me the monkey vibe in that, like, it cuts straight back to the funeral thing, and it's like, bro.
Our theater was like dying of laughter. Like, they were straight up laughing when they got to the second one. I was like, that's where I'm like, this is the better version of the monkey. This is what the monkey should have been.
Yeah. So then funeral happens. We then cut to Stephanie. She has this entire timeline posted on the wall from when the Skyview, is that the name of the restaurant? Happened, and then everybody who died is branching off from there until the present day where they're at.
And Pepe Silva.
So then Stephanie's basically like, she goes full quote unquote conspiracy theorist mode, right? Like, all these people dying, XYZ, like all this stuff is going on, and everybody's like, bruh, you're just as crazy as Iris.
Like, my dad just died and you're over here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it's important to note that Val, the sister on the cousin side, doesn't seem to be the biggest fan of Iris anyways. Like, at some point they used to be friends when she left Stephanie, before she left for college, and then they weren't. But she is closer to Charlie ever since they left. And the brothers, I don't think, mind one way or the other. And then, you know, Aunt Brenda or whatever is like nothing too crazy at first until she has enough towards the end. But what ends up happening is how she connects everybody is that, okay, when you connect all these dots, I finally put all these pieces together from her book, was that everybody that was supposed to die at the Skyview ended up dying. But the problem is, because of how lengthy this timeline is, or how many people she saved, because this is, I think, the grandest scale of who's gotten saved, even though I think the plane would have been just as close. people that were saved, right? I don't remember all the events from the other movies. I guess maybe the
I mean,
NASCAR track. Well,
Well, I
NASCAR
think-
track, they only saved like 10, 12 people.
I think with the plane, people still get on, right? I thought that only.
Oh,
people
you're
who got
right.
off
You're
the
right.
plane
You're
were
right.
dead.
There's only like 12 people that got off. That's right. But so this is basically the greatest save in the history of saves
Yeah.
because she basically saves everybody. I don't think anybody dies.
Yeah.
And so what she ends up finding is that Iris had found that like there was all these people that should have survived, just like how they always find who the survivors are. But the thing was that all these people had families, and because of how long death took to get to certain people, he had to also take out their family members. So what ended up happening was as death was trying to like kind of close the circle, more people were having families and children and grandchildren, so it would take longer because he would have to get rid of the grandparents and then the parents and the kids.
Yeah.
And I think the way she figured it out was it was always in order of like mother or like
It was blood related to whoever was supposed to die on the
Yeah.
Skyview, and then it was the oldest.
oldest down to youngest, and so
Yeah.
we cleared that. So,
So
the
it'd
only
be
people
like
that survived were married and
Oldest kid, and then their kids' oldest, like
Yeah, and
So
yeah,
we go one branch at a time.
one branch at a
essentially.
time. Yeah. So, and she shows like there's a bunch of branches, but she then shows all the newspaper clippings, which is why everybody thought Iris was crazy because she would just send them stuff. I think without necessarily being able to put it into good words, right? Of
Yeah.
like this is how it's all connected, but like showing them like you see this freak accident, that was this family. You see this freak accident, that was this family, and so yeah.
If we recall the beginning, that leaves Iris, and then
Yeah,
Assume
Iris
the
and
little
the kid.
boys,
Yeah, and the little
yeah.
kids at the end of it. Which I think she wrote as what was it?
JB.
JB.
Yeah. So then
Right,
Stephanie's like,
Justin
who's Justin Bieber?
Wasn't
But
JB
yeah.
the same name that they gave the bear in Imaginary?
probably.
It was Chauncey.
No, but he had a different name.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe.
was-
Go back and watch Imaginary.
Yeah,
Our
just-
episode-
No. Watch our review of Imaginary.
Oh, that's what I meant. Watch our episode over Imaginary.
It's
I think
gonna
it
be
was our
right
first
here in the
one.
link.
I think it was our first episode, so the production value is pretty bad, but it's okay. So then, yeah, so everybody leaves. They call Stephanie crazy.
Yeah, and Brenda's the one that's like, I had enough. I'm leaving. Get out of
Yeah,
here.
and so the first person that we see is Eric, right? And they released this one as well, like what his scene is. So he's in the tattoo parlor. He tattoos himself. He tattoos the word dad. He's closing up shop.
They build the tension so good.
They
That's right,
do. He's playing this really loud music. He has a septum piercing, which is really important.
And he puts, what is it, Eric's sad mix.
Yes. There's a ceiling fan, and there's some chains that are hanging kind of from the ceiling fan. Not really. The chain basically gets cut, or comes out of the ceiling, hooks onto his septum piercing, and then it starts to pull him up into the
'Cause the
ceiling
ceiling
fan,
fan is, like,
as
turning
the tattoo parlor catches on fire.
Yeah,
Right.
His cleaner, the acetone or whatever.
Yeah,
it's,
I don't know if that's
alcohol.
Alcohol, yeah.
Yeah, so it starts to burn. He eventually gets free, and he lands his back onto the flames, and then we just cut to the next day.
Oh, it shows, and then it cuts back to like the outside of the thing, and you just see flames.
Oh, you're right,
all
you're right.
engulfing
Yeah.
the inside and
Yeah.
getting bad.
So then we get cut to the next day where Stephanie, I think Stephanie and Charlie are in the car, and Charlie gets a text message, something about the tattoo parlor being burnt down, and so we're like,
If Stephanie's mentioning she hasn't
Can I
heard
just
from
throw
her.
out there? Did that man freehand a whole tattoo and it was like that?
It was great,
Even,
yeah.
That even, I don't know. I don't know.
Perfect font,
Yeah, perfect font, perfect everything.
I guess so, yeah. It was like Old English, it said
Yeah.
dad.
Dig it out.
And so while they're driving, they almost run over Eric. Turns out he survived. And he's like, what the heck? And so then they get out of the car. They start walking to Howard's house, or I guess what was Howard's house.
Well, yeah, they try to. The big thing was they try to get a hold of Eric all night. The
Yeah.
sister, and then she picked up the brother, and they're like, "We need to find Eric," and that he wasn't answering. But then I think he saw on his end that there was a fire.
Yeah.
Like he saw a news article, there was a fire at the tattoo parlor.
Now they're on foot, trying to chase him down to get him to basically go to safety. or
Yeah, and so they start seeing other things, right? So they're
Yep.
walking, and there's a tree trimmer, and what's up?
We do get, this was in one of the trailers, we get the near the near hit with like a.
Oh, the bus, yeah,
the
yeah.
bus.
Like he's like, what do you think? I'm gonna just get hit by a car, and then like it looks like it's gonna be like a setup to one of the other.
So we
ones.
keep getting like
I
pulled
think
in and
The
out.
end of the first one.
I think
the
it's
first
the-
one is where he gets
Is it
hit
the
by
first
bus.
one? Yeah.
Because he thinks he's not dead, but they saved somebody, and so he ended
Yeah.
up being the one that
We
gets
keep
hit.
getting the close calls.
Yeah, a close
Yeah.
call of the car, and then I think what was interesting about this though was that they usually always can see the setup from a mile away, right? But what made this one funny and interesting was that they were like, okay, I see these premonitions, so I'm gonna see how you might die. And he's like, okay, well, how am I gonna die? And she's like, oh, you could die from that tree trimmer falling. And then it's like, and then she sees like two kids playing soccer, and then but they could kick the soccer ball and it hit you in the face, and then you could, and then, okay, well, I'm gonna die from it hitting in my face. And he's like, yeah, but. And then look, this trash can, like, it looks menacing.
Like it sounds so. It's clear that Eric is mocking them. And
Yeah.
It sounds so stupid and outlandish. It's like,
Yeah.
bro, they're getting.
Well, because
died.
she's trying to like figure out how it could
Right.
be, because she sounds crazy. And then we get Val coming out as the trash can like company is picking up trash cans.
Which in this case, I thought Eric was gonna get.
Yeah, well, no,
smashed.
Eric, because Eric's like, she's like, no, like, get away from that van, truck.
Oh, he like kisses.
He's like
the
blinks
shirt.
it. He's like,
I was so sure any second he was about to
Yeah.
get there.
And so he's like, yeah, no, I'm fine. And Val's like, just leave him alone. It's dumb. And then they're trying to talk to Eric, and Val just like walks away. And then all the things that they said happen.
Happened to
The
Val.
Val.
In the background,
In
like
the ba-
just
yeah.
in the background.
The tree trimmer falls, freaks out the kids. They kick the soccer ball, hits her in the head. She falls into the trash can. They pick up the trash can with the metal arm, and she gets thrown into the trash compactor.
Yeah, so they run to try to stop the garbage man, and so while they're
What are
doing
you
that,
listening to? You remember
Somebody
that?
has like
some,
full
like-
over the
Yeah,
ear.
Some,
it was
like-
a stupid song.
like Katy Perry.
yeah,
song,
like
yeah.
was it
It's I say vintage, like older song,
was
20-year-old
it
song.
was it Let Me Hear Me Roar? I don't remember what it
I
was.
don't know, but it was some,
Chandelier. I think it might have been Chandelier.
it was some like pop song, yeah. And then so they're chasing down the garbage truck, trying to get it to stop. Meanwhile, Stephanie's in the jumping on top of the garbage truck, trying to pull Val out. And then they get to her at the wrong moment, right? And then the compactor basically
Squishes
crushes
her
her
head.
hand.
Girl
It
head,
like pops, yeah.
brutal. Doesn't her arm come off? It's
So
brutal.
brutal.
Yeah.
It's so over the top in like the perfect way, like the way her head is.
And so this is kind of where like people are starting to believe her, right? Starting to believe.
Yeah,
Stephanie.
they pan back to they're in the room again. They're all sitting at the thing watching the Pepe
Yeah.
Silva presentation again.
And then it comes out, they're like, well, why didn't Eric die? And then so the aunt is like, well, the reason why you didn't die, she goes, I didn't believe it at first, but now that Val's dead, I do believe it. Now the reason why you're dead is because Howard wasn't your real dad.
Yeah, it was like, oh, you had the pieces right. The problem was you didn't know the order because I didn't tell you.
Which is funny because Stephanie at this point is like, I had the order wrong, like I messed up. And
Yeah.
the stepmom could have just let it be, but she came in and said,
Well, I mean, I think that she was reaffirming it to everybody, like, this is real. I think the only person that still didn't believe it was the dad. Like, the dad was just like, nah.
oh, he like gets up and yeah.
Yeah, he's like, I'm gonna go for it.
Doesn't the mom like mention somebody was a neighbor?
It was
or
a neighbor,
something?
yeah. It was
Yeah.
a neighbor.
That's why he wanted to play catch all the time.
Yeah, that's why he wanted to. He honestly, I think from what I read, and even I felt this way leaving the theater, like everybody I think on the internet agrees that he was the best character. Eric was like the
He
best
was so
character.
good.
Yeah.
The whole movie.
He was also, point of fact, he was one of the kids in Trick or Treat.
Really?
Yes, he is like the kid that has like the mask, like a specific, not the actual like
Not,
brown mask, but
yeah.
it was like one of the like iconic masks from that movie.
From the bus?
I think so. He was in
I'm
Trick or
pretty
Treat.
sure this is also the last time we see their mom.
Yeah, she exits the movie.
Which is one of.
Oh, we also don't see the dad either. So
Maybe
that-
it doesn't have
He
to
comes
be a
out at the
con.
very, very
Oh,
end.
very.
But that is one of my cons that I'll talk about later on. I feel like I know they're not blood related, but she
Yeah.
just disappears for the rest of the
Oh, I
movie.
mean, she had her husband just die. I'm pretty sure she's in mourning.
Okay, so then everybody starts to put the pieces together. They need to find out who JB is, and then the mom, Stephanie's mom, is like, I know who JB is. She kept talking about, I forget what JB
A hospital.
stands for.
And she was trying to
yeah.
figure out, like, oh, is some hospital this? And then they finally come to, oh, surprise, surprise, final destination.
Yeah,
town,
so
Riverbend, or what is it called? River Oaks.
something like
River
that.
something.
So they all pack into mom's RV. So it's Bobby, Eric, Charlie, Stephanie, and mom. And they all go to the hospital.
Oh, important to note too, Bobby
has a
deathly
peanut allergy.
And the only reason Eric was going with them because he wants to protect his
Oh yeah,
brother.
Bobby's next up.
Yeah. Bobby's like, I'm not staying here. I'm going with y'all.
So then they arrive at the hospital, and then this is where we get introduced. We're not introduced. He's been in, I think, in all the other movies. But this is where Tony Todd's character gets introduced into the movie.
I will throw out there this. I immediately called it as soon as I saw the kid on screen. I was like, what's his name? I'm like, that's him. That's obvious. It's like set it up perfectly. I'm like, that's it.
I have a lot to say about this when we get through.
Okay. We're approaching 50
so
minutes.
they get to Tony Todd, and his character basically
drops
asserts
the
to them.
lore.
Yeah, it drops quick lore. He's only seen 2 people survive, and one of which he describes was from the second movie. The girl drowned. She flatlined, and since she completely flatlined, death accepted her death. But then when they revived her, it negated it, and it cut the circuit. Like
That's the only person we see survive in the whole franchise.
I think he said there was 2. He said there was 2. I don't remember who the other one. Maybe they're in the comics. I don't remember, but there's 2. There's 2 that survive.
And now that we bring this up with the whole storyline thing in the beginning, or the family tree, that JB does mention that like him and Iris got really close.
Mm-hmm.
So chances
he helped
are
her build the fortress.
He helped her build the
probably
fortress.
part of what she has in the notebook probably came from him.
Well, that's what
like
she was. Yeah, and that's what she was saying was that they would share notes. They would share notes. They would share what they saw.
Right.
And his big thing was like, well, they're like, okay, so what? That can't be the only way to stop it. Because I think he said the other way is if you take a life.
Yeah.
So similar to Smile, right? Like if you take a life.
Well, in Smile, if you take a life, the curse ends. But in this one, if you take a life, you get their remaining time.
Oh, okay. Which movie was that?
Which one?
Which movie? When did they figure out that rule?
Oh, I don't know.
This movie.
This movie.
Which also, again, it's been a long time since I've seen the original, but I know in the original movies, Tony Todd is kind of like, almost, I don't want to say he plays death, but he's kind of like this mysterious figure that we don't know a lot
I thought
about.
they
He's like that
originally.
in all of them.
I thought he was acknowledged at one point. Again, I could be wrong. It's been a while. I didn't really pay attention when I was younger. But like, didn't they say he was like a leader of one of the leading groups that believed in like it was like almost like a cult? No, like that.
You might be right, but
that it was like that believed in like death in this regards, and like they had like a whole belief system.
But this is when like this retroactively gives us clarification for why he was around and helping, because he knows until Iris dies, he can't die. Like essentially, he's an untouchable character, and he was a good guy the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Like it clears up some of his.
It's clear, like as if he was the bad guy.
Isn't he like mysterious in the
He's
first few?
mysterious,
like
yeah,
almost
but-
in like a why is this guy around kind of way.
Well, it's just because he knows, but like he can't. He doesn't know all the answers either. I mean, you have to imagine back then too. He was barely figuring it out. But long story short, they don't like his answer, and then he gives them a nice, beautiful monologue of like, you know what? I also am sick, and I'm gonna enjoy the time that I have left in this life because life is short. And then he walks out the door to never. As if that's the exit. That
he
they
says
can
good
come
luck.
through. Yeah, good luck, and then just closes the door.
And then Eric tries to kill a baby. Oh.
No, they think about it. They're like,
think about it. So Eric and Bobby basically have a conversation about what to do. Right? Do we take a life or do we kill you, sever the tie, bring you back to life?
yeah.
So while they have this conversation, there's the
They're at the maternity ward, and they're like,
babies are on the
they're
side.
like, no.
So, fun fact, that was improv.
Yeah.
For real?
Yeah, that dialogue was improv.
Actually?
Yeah.
Did they know that? Oh, yo, that's wild.
Yeah.
Eric also, a couple scenes later, just I don't think we're gonna touch on it, but he like runs into an old lady and is like, "Do you have a lot of time left?" Or something? Like,
No, he's sitting at the waiting room.
Yeah.
But basically, I think they decide on, look, we're gonna do a peanut allergy. We're gonna go ahead
Because
and
the
like,
ER is down the hall or something.
yeah,
should have taken the baby.
but they're gonna hide. We're gonna hide in a room and we're gonna do whatever. So then he's like, he was gonna give him like just a big bare bag of peanuts. Like, no, give me the good Reese's Puffs.
Yeah.
Which I thought one of them was gonna die from it falling on them because they do one of the classic like, oh, here's a premonition, and it was the sticker of like the
vending machine.
Another like bait and switch.
Yeah.
We have like Bobby underneath it, like
yeah, he was holding on. At
Even
one
the
point.
coil like kind of pops out.
Pops
Yeah.
out. Well, basically, they're fighting. They're trying to get it out, and they can't get it out, and so they shake it. They zip it really far, and eventually it comes out. They go to a room. Bobby's like, okay, yeah, we're gonna do this, and I forgot what triggers it.
I think a clipboard falls.
They slam the door, and when they close the door, a clipboard falls and turns on the
somehow
CT scanner.
somehow one button on a computer that's in standby mode turns on an entire CT scan. I don't know how that works.
Wait, is it an MRI or a CT?
CT. I think it's CT. I think it's CT.
I don't know which one it is. It's the one that you
Magnetic.
cannot take the magnets.
Yeah. So that's
Or
on.
anything metal.
That's on, and neither one of them acknowledge that this thing's going.
Yeah.
Really, it's set to the highest setting.
No,
like,
it's warming up, and then it
Right.
gradually like goes past certain settings, and then another button overrides it somehow. So basically, they take this whole time, finally eats the Reese's cup, and then he slowly starts like. At first, they're like, "Oh, I'm not allergic," and it's like, "But you're telling me you're not allergic anymore?" And then he starts having the
he's in like
attack.
a wheelchair.
Yeah, he starts having the attack, but he has his EpiPen on him, and he grabs it. And he's about to jab himself with it. He's like, no, give me that. He's like, no, you can't. You have to flatline. Like, you have to die. And so I think he, goes to the waiting room or whatever, right? And lets him...
So Eric... So Eric goes to get the wheelchair while he's having the reaction. He comes back in, and then the CT scanner or whatever it is starts to get higher in power. So we see all of Eric's piercings.
As he comes back in, start going off.
Start to go towards the machine. So first it starts with the septum, his nipple piercings, and then we see like his I think they call it a Prince Albert piercing.
I think so.
It starts to like come out of his freaking pants.
So he's getting like pushed up.
And then eventually it pulls him in.
Yeah.
And then higher, and it even says like research level, don't go past this point.
I think something gets pulled
and hits the button, and it does the override. Yeah. Another quick easy override, like as if that's okay.
And now things in the lobby are like...
The nurse was like, what's good? Like she kind of like something feels off. Like I think she feels and hears it, and then like her name tag like floats up, and I'm like thinking like that wasn't your sign of like something's wrong, and she eventually finds the room.
Yeah. So before she finds the room, or she finds the room that it's in, before she opens up the door, the wheelchair gets sucked into the machine, and it basically
crushes
impales Eric. He has this tattoo of a skull on his torso, and so this is the movie poster for the 5th movie. Is where we get his like the skull with all of the pipes sticking out.
Yeah, and he gets folded in half.
And he has the EpiPen still in his hand.
Yeah, he still has the EpiPen in his hand. And
apparently he's still holding on.
And then as that happens, I think some of the nurses stuff flies in, and then the last but not least, the vending machine coil just like shoots through. Door. Yeah, the vending machine, and it takes out Bobby.
Because Bobby had gone to get the EpiPen. And I'm pretty sure he gets himself too. Because he's like up against...
Oh, he finally gets it. Yeah,
and I think he stabs himself.
But then at that point, that's when the spraying. Also important to note, one of Todd's last thing to say was like,
if you mess with death,
then you're basically gonna cause more problems essentially. Yeah, in a nicer way of saying.
Which is why Eric dies.
Yeah, that's why Eric dies. And I think they even walked past the room. What happened? You mess with death, you find out. And so and they just ran it off like that. That was like the weirdest transition. They just accepted. Yeah, no, they died. So that's on them.
And we don't get a funeral for them.
We don't.
Well, it's all the same day at this point.
It is because the mom's there with
them. So they're at the hospital. They're trying to figure out what they're gonna do next, and because they're like, well, now it's down to mom. Well, the mom's like, okay, I need to leave.
She's next up.
Yeah, she's like, I need to leave to protect y'all if I go, because they're like, somebody needs to go to the bunker. And like, mom's like, it makes sense for me to go to the bunker because I need to survive. And if anybody can live there, I can because I was, raised by my grandma.
She's like trained for this.
Yeah, I'm trained. So they all go in the Winnebago down that way because they want to make sure that nothing happens to the mom. I think most of it's okay up until they get to the gate. And then once they get to the gate of the house, that's when everything starts going wrong. Like the thing sparks and like the power line and all this stuff. It's just already bad. Like it's already no good.
Yeah, there's like, I don't remember how they do it. I think they ram through the gate.
They had to ram through the gate.
And then the RV flips and like it's in the water.
Something hits the seatbelt so it won't.
And then the seatbelt gets hit so you can't unbuckle it. So
Stephanie's is
in the water, and so mom basically makes a beeline towards the house because as long as she's alive, Stephanie can't die. Well, when she opens the door, there's like, I think that's when the plant falls from the rope burn.
I'm pretty sure. Is his name Charlie?
Yeah. He
gets lodged under something, so his mom has to save him.
You're right. So, but there's something that happens that triggers an explosion
I'm pretty.
house.
Yeah, I don't remember what triggered it.
Damn it.
All I know is that after the explosion is when Charlie gets
Because
trapped.
that's when. Yeah.
So the mom like saves him, and they're like they have a moment face to face.
And she's like, "Don't worry, as long as I'm alive, you can't die."
Yeah.
And then the fucking pole
Straight through.
crushes her.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then so Charlie's like, I gotta go save Stephanie.
I'm pretty sure we all knew where the Stephanie thing was going.
Yeah, the
That's why.
pond. Yeah.
Yeah, so Stephanie's in the pond, she's drowning, until eventually, Charlie goes into the RV, tries to rescue her,
And she blacks out.
and she blacks out, and it's too late by the time Charlie gets her out of the RV. We see like her black out, and then the next thing we see is her waking up.
Yeah.
Right? 'Cause
Happy
Charlie,
ending.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Because Charlie is able to do CPR, bring her back. And so then they all, just like Jordan's saying, happy ending. Woo!
Then
yay.
is it then? How many days later is it?
No idea.
He's
Because
getting ready for the prom thing.
Yeah.
Who does that after everybody in your family
That's
just
what I was
died?
thinking. That's what I was thinking. Like, there's no mourning period,
No grief,
right? Like, we
yeah.
know prom is coming up within the next, couple
But
weeks.
he talked about it with his
His
cousin.
cousin,
Yeah.
Like, this could be the next day. This could
Yeah.
be weeks later.
So he goes to prom. He's all in his suit, and
Yeah,
then
his dad. That's
sister
when we
takes
see
him.
dad. Dad is there making sure that his tie is okay or whatever.
Yeah, sister takes him to the house or whatever. They walk over, and then
Don't forget the old lady in this one.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So
Oh,
very
she
important to
get
know. So
She gets the penny from,
the hospital.
The
She finds it
hospital,
on the
yeah.
ground because I think
It fell out of the book.
it falls out
Out
of the book. So this old lady that
Eric asked
Eric
how many
the
years do you
same
have left?
lady.
years do you have left? Yeah, it's the same lady. When she's walking out of the hospital, she finds the penny that's in the book that Iris gave her. That's the penny that Iris taped in that she stole from the kid at the very beginning of the movie.
That was
Anyways.
bad luck.
No, it was good luck for her. I mean, she survived.
Oh, yeah.
So the old lady is buying lemonade from these two girls. She pulls out her coin purse. The penny,
Falls out
just
and
like
rolls.
Adam is saying, rolls for like 3 miles.
Like a Campbell's commercial.
Yeah, gets lodged in the freaking train track, right? Like
It's like one of those parts where it switches.
Yeah, where
And it
switches
also holds the train track.
It holds the train track.
That's a strong ass penny, bro.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That penny must be made out of I don't know, vibranium or something.
And then we cut back to Charlie getting to his date.
Yeah,
Yeah.
getting to his
With
date.
the
Also, I think important to note, before anything of that happens, she freaks out because she does see the car from the beginning.
Yeah,
From the first,
a
like
bunch of the premonition that Iris had.
Right.
Details start coming up.
Yeah, well,
I
and
didn't
that was the car. That
realize-
was the car that it was an old man driving the car that
that Paul and
Iris were riding in. And they went over the train track, which I think was also one of
I
the opening
didn't
things.
catch that. That
Yeah.
it was the same. Like,
Yeah. So train comes on by. We know where this is going. The train's gonna derail because a penny got lodged. in the whole thing. No, the train's not gonna just run over the penny and then
Nope.
it's gonna be fine. So the train derails.
What we haven't found out about.
Oh, so the last spoiler was.
Yes. So the last thing. So the prom date's dad is a doctor.
Of course.
So the doctor goes over to Charlie's, like, "Oh, hey, I heard you saved your sister. Yeah, she died, and then I brought her back to life." And he's like, "Well, you drowned."
So then he
and
hit
you
like
were-
a.
Yeah, he's like, I was like, dang.
yeah, he
man.
goes, "You drowned, but you were able to come back. So you may have stopped breathing, but your heart didn't stop."
Right.
And so
Yeah.
then that's when they shit their pants, right?
They
They're
look
like,
at
"Oh my
each other.
god!"
Yeah.
And
And
then
then that's when the
train just literally barrels through. They outrun this train
They're
mostly.
booking. And
Well, if I
another
say-
happy ending. Like,
Well, I'm gonna say I don't know how everybody else got away
I
because
have
they
no
were.
idea. I assume that they don't.
They don't. Okay, so it takes out like half this neighborhood, right? And so eventually, it looks like they're running out of steam. They're not gonna make it.
the
They're gonna
train
catch
slows
up,
down.
and the train slows down, and they make it
Like
maybe
inches
away, and then they go, oh, "Okay, we did it." And then you just hear, and then an 18-wheeler with the logs from the second movie comes over the top, and the logs take them out.
Yeah.
And we see the whole thing happen.
Yeah.
We do. And then credits roll.
I thought that was wild. That was wild.
my jaw dropped.
I think that was the moment I looked at Ivan and I said, "Bro."
It cut off after that, and I said, I don't know why I thought it was actually gonna be a happy ending. Or
Well, I knew it wasn't gonna be, but I thought it was hilarious that we got you at the second one, the logs.
Yeah.
No.
And then I do want to note that I didn't notice this until Reddit mentioned it. that the whole credit sequence is like the penny rolling down.
Yeah, the penny
like the
rolling down.
family tree thing.
Yeah.
Until it hits the end, which would have been Tony
Yeah.
Todd.
Yeah.
And we get the in memory of
Yeah, in memory of Tony Todd.
Yeah.
my king.
That was good.
R.I.P. the legend.
Okay, it was better than the monkey.
All right. You sold.
All right, so that's basically the movie. So Adam, pros, cons, and favorite kill.
I will start with cons. I accepted it because I understand why they had to do it. I was not the biggest fan of how heavily CGI'd the beginning sequence was. Like, man, it was really like noticeable. But I'm like, you know what? We give credit to other movies when they do stuff like this. I'm like, I'll let it go. But it was like super heavily CGI.
It felt like it should have been like a Harry Potter movie or something. Like with how glossed up it was.
It was like a sci-fi movie
Or,
almost.
like,
Yeah, it was like really like futuristic almost. Like it was like it gave me the vibe of like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like almost like it would be like the beginning to like a Fallout game, like or something. Like it's just like it's like super like you can tell it's overly done, like but it's like has a futuristic type look, even though it's not futuristic, it's in the past. You know, my only other cons really, again, were very minimal. Like I mean, you know, other than you know a few cheesy moments here or there, which I thought were funny, I thought were really good. I don't think that really, I don't think there's anything that I really hated about it. I think the pros that for me went well were that you had good kills. You had, I thought, very well done acting, and I think the thing that saved this better than all the other ones was the characters were likable. Like I can't remember looking and watching the other ones where I'm like, I like sympathize with these characters. I'm like, okay, it's a movie and they're characters and they're in this ridiculous story.
Yeah, so a lot of people noticed that, right? And so, so I watched this interview that Dead Meat did with the actors, and so the reason why they had such good chemistry on set or in the movie was because they actually had like dress rehearsals and stuff like that with each other, so that way they could get to know each other and basically like form their family dynamics before filming.
Right.
And so that's not, yeah, so that's not, they don't do that with other, like with movies nowadays. And so that's why there was such good chemistry, which I think, well, I mean, I'm kind of going forward on my pros really quick. But it was a really good pro for me as well.
Especially because in the movie they are a family. Like
Yes.
it's done very well.
Which I don't think the other ones that was the case.
I think they're all like random.
They're random,
Yeah.
they're friends, or they're high school colleagues. I thought that the Tony Todd ending dialogue was really good. His final, his final
Goodbye to the audience
was really good. I think that outside of all the stuff already listed, I just thought like the movie was just well done in a way that like it was fresh, it was well paced, and I didn't feel like they were going over the top ridiculous with some of the kills. I think that was another thing where it was like, you know what, like of course the trash can whatever one was pretty ridiculous, but like I thought a lot of them were just done well enough. I think some of the older ones really pushed the okay, we're gonna drag out like, oh, what's gonna happen? And I think there was a lot of these that were very immediate. Like they were very like they happened really
Once
quickly.
it starts, it's just
and it was like in your face. And the other ones, it's like, man, like okay, this happens and then this happens and this happens and this happens, and it's like I think it's too many things and it just gets over convoluted. This, I think there was enough things that happened that made sense, and it like made the scene, I would say, I hate to say more believable, but it like made it palatable in a way where it's not over the top ridiculous. Like I think it was more like, okay, I could totally see that kind of happening, even though it is kind of zany, but it still makes more sense than some of the previous ones that did. But yeah, those are pretty much most of my pros.
Yeah, what was your favorite kill?
Ooh, man, that's a good one. I have to say, the dad one was pretty good because it just happened so quick, and like everybody kind of knew once he got the glass in the foot, it was over.
Yeah.
But I don't think we expected like the lawnmower happening. That was pretty interesting.
Jordan, pros, cons, and favorite kill?
I'll start with cons too. One, this isn't a personal con, but Adam kind of touched on it, and I would understand if other people feel the same way. Is like people might be put off with like the lack of practical effects. It's all very clearly CGI. I like it. It looks pretty consistent. It has just enough of like goofiness, but I would understand why some people might not like that. Two, and this is kind of, we talked about it a little bit with like the prom scene at the end, and I understand that they're not like technically they're not really in play, so I understand why the other parents are kind of out of the picture. But I don't know, I feel like they're just not very invested. Like they kind of, it just comes off as they don't really care about what's happening like halfway through the movie. That's like how nitpicky I have to get because there's not a lot of cons. Pros, obviously we talked about it. I really like the beginning. It does have, now that I think about it, it's more like a like Hunger Games futuristic thing where like, even though it's set in old time, it is kind of like...
It has a futuristic look, but there's nothing futuristic about it. It's just the CGI makes
just because they couldn't actually, build that.
Yeah.
I personally like the CGI. I like the amount of gore. I got used to like, I guess not watching like R-rated movies or them not being this. I forgot that they show everything, so I was shocked. Like with the way it started, like holy shit, we're gonna see all of this. It was brutal. The CT scan scene, I think, was a big highlight. The Tony Todd scene, which I think we're all going to touch on. He breaks the fourth wall. It's great. He passed away of cancer, which he mentions in like the movie. His character is passing away of the same thing. Heartfelt, touching. And then the plot twist right at the end, I think is... I say plot twist. The way it came about, I think had us all kind of like jaw drop moment. Or like, bro, what just happened? And I think that was a really good way to get rid of them. And favorite kill... Just keep it interesting, I'm going to pick the sister.
The sister?
Yeah, I liked how outrageous it was. And like the dad kill, like it, once it starts, even though like we were basically told what was going to happen before it happened so quickly. And it's honestly just the lead up to her actually getting put in the trash can that's so funny to me. Because it seems so outrageous. And then, yeah, epic, worth it.
So pros and cons for myself. The pros... when we have to remember that Final Destination movies aren't known for their story. They're known for the outrageous way people get killed, right? And so the story takes a backseat to these movies. And so I thought the kills were really good. They were pretty funny in my opinion. Like the entire scene with the CT scan had my jaw on the floor pretty much. The one at the very end with the Stephanie and Charlie getting killed by the logs had my jaw dropped too. Like they were just really funny.
That's probably the quickest kill, honestly. It just like happens.
It just happens. So the kills were really good in this one. I'm not too familiar. I'm gonna be the odd one out. I'm not too familiar with Tony Todd's things, but I do know the impact that he had on the genre. Right, like he was the main person in Candyman. He played I don't remember the character's name, but he played the dude, the slasher or whatever. He's in this one, and you know what? Didn't he also play the main character in Night of the Living Dead, the 1990s remake?
I think he might have.
Yes. If he was, if it's the same one, yes.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did.
Yeah, he was in the second, the reboot, not the reboot, but the second reiteration of it.
Yeah,
literally legendary roles.
Like so he was like his impact on the genre is going to be felt, forever. So seeing him go, R.I.P. the homie, pay my respects. For the cons, I think honestly, like it kind of bugged me too. The same thing with yours, with the parents, just like, or the aunt specifically. The dad, I'm assuming, died with the train wreck, right?
And he does come in and out of the scene, like right.
But like the aunt just kind of shows up, or sorry, she leaves the movie after dropping like, "Hey, Eric, Howard isn't your real dad," and then we never see her.
Never
again.
Comes back to check on Bobby or the kids.
Never, right? And like I get it, right? Like after she leaves the movie, everybody dies like within 24 hours. So like, how does that play into effect? I don't know. That's just me being nitpicky. Like this movie, the cons, I feel like I have to be nitpicky with trying to find something because there aren't really a whole lot. Because the movie, like I said at the beginning, right? Like the story's like, there's a premonition, people die, they try to stop it, doesn't work. But yeah, so my favorite kill would have to be Eric's. I thought it was pretty clever the way that they did the movie poster for the 5th movie on his torso. But yeah.
That was like Adam was mentioning how some of them are drawn out in the old movies. I feel like this one was drawn out in a good way. Like it was the longest kill, and it had it was so worth it. It had the most
I think this is the first movie that we've covered or I guess second one if you count Terrifier, But this is the first one that we covered in like a mainstream franchise. So what do you think? You think they're gonna make another one?
They shouldn't. Here's my thing, and I think we had this conversation about like I didn't go to too much detail, but I did express that I don't think they should. And the reason is, I think it was a perfect storm, and I think that you have lightning in a bottle, where this movie had a pretty good story from a genre that usually doesn't have a very good story. You had a cast that worked really well together, and you had a premise that made it work to where that cast, being a good ensemble, really worked in its favor. And you had such a fresh, new approach and a new way of tackling this already drawn out trope. I think you run the risk, and they will, and I'm telling you, I will step my ground and say this. I guarantee if they make a second one after this, it's just going to go downhill. I mean, you have to look back at history. Never in the history of ever Final Destination have they gotten better after, other than this one. And this one was a fresh reboot with a fresh story. Everything worked in its favor. I don't think you can recreate the success they had with this one. You can't. You really can't. Like, what other way can you tackle this type of story with, you hit the biggest possible story possible, right? Shrinking it down now would not be any good. We got all these great kills, but like, are you gonna really pay to watch that again if the story and the cast is not as good? I think you're just downgrading from there. Like, I don't think you can build upon it. So in my opinion, I don't think they should, because I think this was a perfect storm, a good homage to the old movies. You got a little bit of the good from the previous movies. They fixed a lot of the bad, and everything just worked out real well. The fact that we have to fight for cons is saying something for a Final Destination movie. So that's just my opinion. I don't think will they? They probably will, but they shouldn't.
Just to add on to what Adam had to say, I will agree that like this movie specifically was kind of a perfect storm in terms of just like timing and stuff. It just really worked out well. We haven't talked about numbers. I just want to throw this in because I'm always that guy.
Yeah, go for it.
The highest grossing film in the series made 190 million worldwide total in its whole run.
Which one was it? The second one?
I want to say it was the one that's called The Final Destination.
Was it really?
The fourth. I feel like it is, just because this is not adjusted for inflation or any of that. So to be fair,
Inflation.
then technically the first one might, you know what I mean? Like if you adjusted it. To be fair, this one did come out 20 years, the newest one, like after the first, but right? Isn't it the fourth one or no?
Oh, you're right. Global opening of 102 million, which grossed 186 million worldwide.
So grossed 186 million worldwide. This one is currently sitting at over 100 already. So by the time you're watching this or whatever, it probably already is the most successful in the series. I do agree that another movie, if they do make it, probably won't have the same financial success. Like, it probably won't surpass this. But I do agree that this was a great refresh for the series. It especially, I think the long gap helped.
I'll also throw out there I would also say that they're gonna. I hope that other series will learn like how you need to approach a reboot if they're gonna do one. Because I'm telling you right now, I'm also calling it the new I Know What You Did Last Summer is gonna be awful, because I hated those movies too. Why they're rebooting like movies that are like, people are like, oh, these were standards and classics back in the 90s and early 2000s. I'm like, those movies were okay, but it was like, I think you look at stuff with nostalgia and you have to remember like stuff from the 90s and 2000s wasn't all that great. Like we rely heavily, and you look back at some of those movies like, man, these movies weren't all that good. Like I think the nostalgia factor of these were like some of the better movies that came out at that time. Like, I don't know, we're in like a good period for movies in these last like 10 years.
These original have aged questionably. But I have a few big points I think that.
Okay.
One, I feel like no other movies really do what this like franchise does, in that like, okay, maybe The Monkey was like a ripoff of this, but like I think that this movie doing so well shows that there is still a void in the genre of movies that execute this specific concept, and they have the name. People, like, everybody knows what Final Destination is. They're always going to have that name to at least scrape up some money or whatever, regardless of how good the movie actually is. I also feel like, which he's talked about specifically, about this being the best movie in the franchise, I think it's worth making another movie, just because, one, I'd rather have the movies than not have them, even if maybe they aren't the best. But 2, we've already kind of gone over that. Like, there's not really anything to ruin. If they release a couple bad movies and it runs dry or whatever, they're just going to wait another 10 years and then refresh it. But it's not like this franchise is something like Terrifier or another franchise that has had, like, increasingly great movies that, like, you risk ruining the legacy or whatever.
I just think
Like, these old movies are already kind of trash. There's not really anything to ruin. Like,
I just think man, I don't know. I think you didn't muddy up the success of, like, this one, like this particular one. Like, I don't know, like, again, every horror movie franchise at some point hits that where it's like you should have stopped after a certain point.
right, and maybe they run it back one more and it does bad and they decide to call it quits.
Yeah.
But I think that if they run it back again and they get anything close to, like, if they somehow turn a profit, which I don't know how much this movie cost to make, but
I think it was 150. I think.
Yeah.
I think
if they can turn a profit on another one, I think they'll keep going until they can't do that. But I think it's a series or like a franchise that's gonna forever. If it dies out now, it's gonna come back 10 years from now.
Yeah.
And there will be a sequel because, like, I mean, technically this is.
the budget was
Is this-
50 million.
Oh, so technically with Tony Todd being in this, it is a sequel to, like, the 5th one, even if it's 12 years later or whatever. Maybe not a direct sequel, but, like, so eventually there will be a sequel. It's just a matter of if they do make another one now, also do they try to find a way to tie in this movie with it, like make it a continuation of.
I don't think you can. I think
Even though this is the end of the line.
They've snipped it. They ended the
So it's like Adam did say, and, like, just to play devil's advocate, like, also, where do you go? Like, what do? You come up with a completely new... Like, are they all just going to be, like, one-offs? Especially now that, like, Tony Todd isn't in it. Or there's not really a mainstaying character anymore that will, like,
Well, I guess maybe
arc
other than
across.
the second movie, the lady that survived the second
I did
movie,
see people mention that being a possibility.
But-
Like, bringing her back, but I don't know.
I don't know. That's like...
That becomes risky in that now you're tampering with old, like,
Yeah.
you're...
We saw how that happened in the second one with the first one.
Hey, we all saw The Exorcist Believer. No.
Oh my God.
Needle.
Okay.
I think so. In the interest of time, I think this movie. So, like I said before, right? You watch these movies for the kills, not so much for the story. I feel like this franchise fills that niche where we just have these people getting offed in these bizarre scenarios that happen like every other day, right? They're not everyday scenarios, they're like every other day scenarios. So I feel like regardless, just like what Jordan is saying, that if this one turns a profit, there's absolutely no way that they're not going to make another one. And there's absolutely no way that they aren't thinking about it already, right? So, like, just because I keep mentioning it, the interview with Dead Meat, they also interviewed, I think it was like one of the producers or something like that. Somebody who has really close ties to the franchise, like it being originally created up until today, like someone who's in it deep. And they were saying that they've been receiving emails since the first movie about like different ways for people to get offed in the franchise. So like they have all these ideas, like it's just a matter of finding ones that they want to use or coming up with their own, which, you know, if you have a bunch of writers nowadays who have seen all of these movies in the past, I don't think it'd be the hardest thing to do.
Which, if you can, I would just bring back the same director and writers from this movie. But
Yeah, you have to.
Do you know how they got the job?
I don't.
So directors are like actors where they have to audition for their roles. So the way that the directors auditioned for this one is that they were on a Zoom call, I think with the producers or the studio or somebody. And during the Zoom call, they essentially had the Eric scene happen in their apartment or in their house or whatever, where the ceiling fan like fucking came out of the ceiling, the house started to catch on fire, like all of these things happened, but of course the directors set it up that way.
Yeah.
And so then they basically got it on the spot. But yeah, so that's how that worked. But yeah, just some interesting background lore. That was Final Destination Bloodlines, broke the bloodline curse, where every other movie with bloodlines in the name is awful. This one wasn't. But the next movie is going to be Adam's pick. Adam, what are we watching next?
We're going another Flash in the Past. We're going Puppet Master #1.
Puppet Master number 1.
It's a good movie. Oh, wait for the review. I'll look up the Rotten Tomatoes. I'll come with
I think
it.
everybody. Oh, I had. We'll talk about it, but
Is
I think
number 1 better or is number 17 better?
no. I think number 2 is. I think the people agree is probably the better of all of them. But don't watch past 3. Anything past 3
Is there actually? How many are there?
There's like 7.
There's like 7, but after 3 is bad. After 3, you get into like the 90s ones, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, so until then, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, do all the algorithm stuff. We really appreciate it, and y'all have a good day.